get into our featured reviews. And yes, our first one is A Real Pain, written and directed by Jesse Eisenberg. Yes, Adam is stepping out for a little bit on this one.
Oh,
And
wow.
Zach is going to start us on this one. So Zach, take it away. What'd you think?
I mean, A Real Pain is the latest film directed by Jesse Eisenberg. Last time we heard of Jesse Eisenberg, he was a Sasquatch. But this time he has reverted himself to human form, and he is the writer and director of this fascinating new movie that he stars in with Kieran Culkin. They play cousins, David and Benji, and they are on a tour of Poland, and a tour that was funded by their late grandmother. And they were touring around all the great Jewish sites and scenes in Poland, some graveyards and some historical districts, and then ultimately a concentration camp. But the movie is less about the history of Jews in Poland and more about their fractured relationship as cousins. They grew up, I guess, very close, but now there is a sort of splintering. Benji, the cousin played by Jesse Eisenberg, or excuse me, David, the cousin played by Jesse Eisenberg, is a little bit more successful. He has a wife and a kid. Benji's life kind of consists of living in his grandmother's basement, getting high all the time. And so, you know, we have a little bit of like a Miles and Jack sort of dynamic in the movie. Two white guys who are kind of friends, but also there's a little bit of tension there and hostility, and they're on vacation. Don't worry, there's no tastings of wine, unfortunately. Okay, so this was my number 2 movie, most anticipated of the year. It got great reviews. Everybody's talking about Kieran Culkin getting nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Here's where I fall in it. I like it. I don't love it. I think it is a fine movie. It is entertaining. I love that it's 90 minutes. I think it's very snappy. The dialogue is good. There's some really nice heartfelt moments in it. I like Kieran Culkin a lot in this movie. This is not, you know, I kind of thought that it was going to be like a Zach Galifianakis, like over the top sort of crazed performance. And that's sort of what we see in the trailer a little bit, but it's actually a little more toned down than that. He's just sort of socially inept. I guess not too removed from Zach Galifianakis. So I guess I don't really know what I'm talking about here. But he is entertaining. The movie is fun. It's light. It's breezy. It goes by really quickly. There's a fun sequence where they get lost on a train. I don't know if there's a whole lot more depth to it, though. Like, I kind of was expecting something a little heavier, maybe. It's funny. It's got some good supporting characters. Actually, low key, I kind of like the supporting characters more than the main characters. I really like the performance of an actor named Kurt Ejiwan as Eloja, who is a Rwandan Jew. He was awesome in the movie. He wins my biggest my Big Tim minor character award for the movie. I also like the tour guide in the movie. He's played by I'm actually not sure who he's played by, but he's really good. Will Sharpe. There we go.
White Lotus season 2.
There we go. Thank you, Todd. Yes.
I had no idea that guy was British.
Entertaining cast. If you watch the Letterboxd YouTube video of each of the actors saying their top 4 movies, it kind of reflects like what the characters would say as their top 4 movies, which is a little eerie. It kind of makes me think that in many ways the actors are kind of playing themselves to a certain extent, or at least what people think of them. I don't know, guys. I don't have a whole lot to say about this movie. I mean, in some ways, maybe that's a criticism of the movie. It's a fine movie. It moves along nicely. It has some nice ideas about how relationships between family members sometimes fall apart when there's dysfunction and maybe some drug and alcohol abuse. I don't think it has a whole lot more to say. I don't necessarily think it's Oscar caliber. I think Kieran Culkin is very good in the movie. I have to say, as my number 2 most anticipated movie of this the rest of the year, I leave a little bit like wanting more of the movie. I think I wanted more heft to it, but it's a fine sort of travelogue, funny scenes, funny side characters. I don't think a whole lot more about the movie than I think what a lot of critics would say and what I anticipate you guys would say to it. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I wasn't in the right mindset. I'm giving it 3 stars. I think it's a good movie. People should check it out. Not a great movie. Where are you guys at?
All right. Yeah, I'll go next. I've got this at 4 stars. I was blown away by this movie. And I mean, Jesse Eisenberg does a great job writing and directing this. And he's really good in it as well. This is the Kieran Culkin show. I thought he just blew me away. He just popped off the screen unlike any character I've seen this year. And just is this person that is alive and broken and trying to find himself, and while also being this like extremely honest external processing, everything is just out there that he is thinking at any particular time, while Jesse Eisenberg is a quiet, reserved part of the equation. And I thought it worked so well there were moments in here that were so awkward and uncomfortable, but like real life awkward and uncomfortable. I kept on thinking this is like Polish Jewish Sideways in some ways, where it's just two mismatched guys that, had a relationship at some point and are trying to keep it together on a road trip doing stuff. And you've got one that just, wants to get by with life. And the other one is trying to find a way to live life and is struggling to do it. And I loved it. I loved every minute of it. Another great member of the cast, Jennifer Grey, like Dirty Dancing. Jennifer Grey pops out as Marcia in this. Like she was pretty great as well. It felt like, Jesse Eisenberg, we first got to know him in like Squid and the Whale in like a Noah Baumbach movie, which is such a slice of life. It's almost too real to really feel it. And this is kind of in the same spot. It's like so real that it's awkward, but in a very real way. I loved it. I ate the whole thing up. 4 stars for me. Todd, tell us why it's a 3.5-star movie.
I like the movie a lot too. I think there is more depth to it than Zach lets on. It's a movie about grief and like what that does to people, and like the reasons why they're there. Like Benji's there as like he wants it to be like a spiritual thing, but David's there pretty much just to fulfill the wishes of his grandmother. I think that is what eventually shapes the characters. But I didn't really know it was actually going to be that funny. Like, it's the funniest movie of the year by far. Like, I never laugh out loud at movies, and I was cracking up in an empty theater at how awkward and just like well written the movie was. Yeah, I almost immediately I thought that the movie was sort of like a Woody Allen type of thing. Like maybe that's just Eisenberg. Maybe he has a lot of Woody Allen in him, but especially the scenes in the airport is something straight out of like the Woody Allen playbook. I want to know how Benji carried on that hiking bag, by the way. That was weird. But Kieran Culkin is astonishing in this. It's an incredibly high war. I could have seen a different version of this with Jason Segel in that role or something, and it wouldn't have worked necessarily in how believable, and because the tone would be completely different. But Culkin is endearing, and he's hilarious, and he's gonna category fraud himself into supporting actor. He should be winning Best Actor, honestly. But Eisenberg, I think, is really good in this as well. It's like the role that fits what he does best the most since The Social Network. And I also wrote down some like his button down shirts. Like, what's up with how he buttons them? He has like the third button down buttoned, and that's it. It's every single time he's wearing one of those. So it was a choice. I just don't know what the choice is. But he's great. I haven't seen his other movie he directed, which is When You Finish Saving the World, but I'll be curious to watch that now because he obviously has an eye behind the camera. This movie, I feel like it's almost like if you take the before movies, like Before Sunrise and such, and put actual supporting characters in it. Wait, because like those movies are really just about two of them, but this actually has fully fleshed out other characters. I just found out yesterday Jennifer Grey is Oscar winner Joel Grey's daughter. I had no idea until yesterday about that. She's like, oh yeah, my dad was in Cabaret, blah, blah. I was like, what, really? But anyway, the movie touches on a lot of universal things, but it's specific enough to make them authentic, but it's also humorous enough to make them digestible, even when they're like coming on to really heavy subjects. And I just feel like the characters are real. It's a fantastic movie. It's really well directed. I think it's a complex screenplay, and it's got really rich characters. It was everything I wanted it to be and more. It's a 4-star movie.
Oh, so we got 2 4 stars here.
Well, I was prepared for this. I guess what I would say in my defense is the movie works in spite of the trip. The movie has 2 great characters as the centerpiece, and there's some wonderful exchanges between the characters. I'll give you that. I don't know why they needed to be in Poland. I don't know what the movie. I think the movie is trying to make a point about like intergenerational trauma, but it does it in a way that to me made them seem like kind of assholes. Like I felt disassociated from them, which is why I said I kind of liked the other people in the group a little bit more. I wanted to know more about those characters. I bet that Jesse Eisenberg would say that's kind of on purpose. I bet he would say that that's by design to make them characters that are not necessarily lovable. So maybe I need another watch of the movie, but it is a good movie. I don't know if I see the greatness that you guys see. But it was very entertaining. It was a fun 90 minutes for sure.
Yeah,
Todd,
I mean, I think it being in Poland is just a reflection of they needed some place to have all of these things organically come up, and it works because they get to change locations a lot. It's not just like them sitting in down for drinks and talking about things like and hashing things out. They're living and seeing each other for the first time in a while. I think it works.
I almost
Todd,
wish
do you like my comparison to Sideways?
Yeah, I mean, there's some Sideways, but I like I said, I think it's more like before movies than Sideways. But I mean, the buddy comedy drama thing definitely fits the Sideways playbook.
Yeah. I almost wish Kieran Culkin had been on the trip alone. I think Jesse Eisenberg is actually more bothersome to me than Kieran Culkin. I like that Kieran Culkin confronted the tour guide. I like that he stirs up some uncomfortable situations with the group. I don't like that Jesse Eisenberg is trying to be the peacemaker. I find that character somewhat obnoxious. And I think it's fascinating that Kieran Culkin, I agree that it's like a very layered performance. Like there are things about his character, like the fact that he doesn't even remember what he said to the tour guide earlier in the movie. Like I wanted more of that. I wanted more of a portrait of a guy on the fringe of life. And maybe I just wanted Kieran Culkin more. I don't know. Maybe that's more the why he's so great in the movie. But I don't know. I think it's fine. It's like good, not great, but I respect your guys' opinion. I feel like this is a little bit like our review of Banshees of Inisherin, which you guys loved, and I was like, meh. But it's a good movie, and hopefully Kieran Culkin winning an Oscar, I don't think any of us would have significant problems with.
I think that'd be great. I'd love to see this performance win an Oscar.
He's lead though, right? There's no part of that character that's supporting. He's in all but 2 scenes in the entire movie.
But it feels like it should be. It feels like a supporting performance because David is the one that you see the whole thing through the eyes of.
Oh, I mean, that's like saying Jeff Daniels is supporting in Dumb and Dumber. I mean, they're both leads.
Yeah,
I would love to see this movie with Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels in 1994 recasting. That would be fascinating.
That would be.
Although I think you have it reversed. I think Jim Carrey would play Benji. Could John C. Reilly play Benji? That's a real question.
Sure.
Yeah. I can see that. And Will Ferrell be David.
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
Mark Wahlberg and John C. Reilly. That's what I'm going with.
There we go. 4 stars from me, 4 stars from Todd, 3 stars from Zach.
Okay. I'll just say one more thing. It's a good movie. I agree with you. I don't think there's a whole lot more to talk about. Like we did a freaking 3-hour deep dive of Sideways. I don't know if I could do a 3-hour deep dive on this movie. Like it's fine. It's good. I just don't think there's any. I think it's like it ends in terms of its depth at a certain point. But that is the last thing I'll say about it. There's no way this is winning Best Picture.
I think it's got a chance.
It could get nominated, but it's not going to win. No way.
I don't know if there is a favorite in any way, shape, or form right now. So I think there's a lot of movies that have a chance. We went
20 minutes on Anora. I don't think we could go much more than what we've already said about it on this movie. Like it's fine. There's not much more to it. I don't know. It's like it's good, but do you guys have more you got to say? I don't have more I need to say. That's why I didn't want to start this review. I don't have a whole lot more to say about it. It's like fine.
It's in theaters. Check it out if if this sounds interesting. It at worst it's a 3-star movie from Zach. So let's there we go.
Ooh.
Culkin Oscar buzz, real
Culkin
pain
Oscar
right
buzz.
there.
Who's the best? Who's the most talented Culkin? Is Kieran the most talented?
I think Kieran's
Kieran
Name that
for
Culkin.
sure.
Kieran.
I would go Rory. but okay.
Yeah, sure. The one who hasn't done anything.
When
Since
Rory was
Down
a
in the
kid,
Valley.
he was amazing. Did you ever see him in Signs? Fantastic kid acting.
That movie's shit. But Kieran has Zigby Goes Down and Succession. I think that the conversation ends there, and then
And
Kieran
Scott
think-
Pilgrim versus the World too.
Oh yeah, Scott Pilgrim too.
Oh, he is
well,
good in
then he's
that.
going to
I
win an
like-
Oscar for this.
So does he thank Macaulay and Rory in his acceptance speech? That's the real question.
Obviously,
Of course.
While wearing bunny
I don't know if
ears,
it's obvious.
which is his brother's podcast. Anyway,